students. We are continuing the chapter sense organ. In the first part of this chapter, you have studied about the different types of sense organs, the eye, its structure, its function of different parts, and the eye defects. The second sense organ which we have to study in syllabus is the ear. Ear, as you know, generally we say that ear is the organ of hearing. But there is another function associated with it also, that is balancing of the body. So, ear is the organ of hearing and balance. Organ of hearing and balance. Now, students, every time in each topic, I just want to say, recall you that whenever you go to study any physiology related to the human body or any organ system, then you must go through the diagram, level diagram. So first of all, draw the diagram. Even you can draw it roughly, because in general, diagram is given in the question paper and you will have to label. So even if you draw roughly, you must try to label. When you draw level diagram, then while drawing and labeling, you will find that in a very small period of time, almost every point, its location, in function, as well as one more question is asked in the biology, that is to arrange the different terms in logical sequence for every structure. So if you will study by drawing the diagram and labeling, then it will be more clear to you than in which sequence the different parts are given. So just to start, I am going to draw the diagram. It is quite simple. Just start with first external part. I will label and then study it set individually. So first of all, just let us start to draw the diagram. Now then on this part, now this just you have seen that I have taken a few seconds only to draw the diagram. Now you see, students, there are different structures. From here to here, there are three structures which are the part of the external ear. Now, first of all, start to label, then we will study it one by one. This is pinna. Pinna. This structure is auditory canal or also called auditory meatus. This is eardrum or tympanum. Eardrum also known as tympanum. Now further, this portion is for middle ear. The middle ear contains three small ear bones which are attached with each other, and collectively they are called ear ossicles. Now what are the different name of different bones? We will study when we will study them separately. Now this window, membranous window like a structure on which this last bone is resting, is known as oval window. This lower is called, there is again window-like structures, membranous window between this middle ear and the internal ear. That is round window. Round window. And this tubular structure, this one, that connects middle ear to the throat. Middle ear is connected to the throat. That is called eustachian tube. Eustachian tube. So these were the structures in middle ear. Now this part is the internal ear. In internal ear again there are three main parts. You can see these are the membranous tube-like structure which are about half circle, that is called semicircular, and tubular structure, hence they are known as semicircular canal. The three semicircular canals are fitted with each other at right angle in three planes, like one in this axis, this plane, this plane, and then another will be like in this plane, that is XYZ axis. So these are three semicircular canals. Semicircular canals. One end of each semicircular canal is swollen, and that swelling is called ampulla. In fluid of ampulla, there are many small particles, stony particles, which we will study later on. Now, then there is the middle tissue structure joining this semicircular canal and this spiral tubular structure, which is called cochlea. That is called vestibule. This middle part is called vestibule. A stem-like structure joining the semicircular canal and the cochlea is vestibule. The vestibule has two parts. The upper region is called utriculus and the lower region is sacculus, collectively called vestibule. So just you have to remember that if two labels are given, you will write separately utriculus and sacculus. But if a single labeling is given, then you will write vestibule. Now this is the spiral organ called cochlea. And finally, from every part of the internal ear, now the nerve fibers join together to form a bundle of nerve fibers, that is called auditory nerve. Auditory nerve. So this is the labeled diagram of the ear. Now students, let us start to study the topic one by one. Now start with the first structure, that is external ear. External ear has three parts. First, pinna. Presence of pinna is the mammalian character. This structure, this is the pinna, that is the funnel-shaped cartilaginous structure which collects the sound waves and direct it to the eardrum. This is characteristics of mammals. Now, in mammals, we have also studied about vestigial organ in other chapter. The pinna muscle is vestigial in human being. That is, we are unable to move pinna in different directions, whereas the other mammals can move their pinna in the direction of sound. So, the function of pinna, it is cartilaginous, funnel-shaped structure, trumpet-shaped structure which collects sound waves. Now, second is this part, this tubular structure. It is slightly curved such that when air enters inside it, it will not directly strike the eardrum, but the hairs on this part will trap the dust particles. So it is auditory meatus or auditory canal. Auditory meatus or auditory canal. Now this is the tubular structure that conducts or directs the sound waves towards the eardrum. Now in auditory meatus, they on the inner lining of auditory meatus there are hairs, and there is wax gland, that is sebaceous gland in it. Sebaceous gland in it is known as ceruminous gland. Ceruminous gland. This gland produces waxy substance that is also called earwax. The earwax or waxy substance produced by it is called cebumen, or commonly earwax. Now you see, students, that the hairs and the earwax, that is the cebumen, together trap dust particles and the germs entering into the ear. If they will be not filtered, then they will directly reach to the eardrum and get deposited over them. As a result, its vibration will be disturbed. Now, the third structure is the eardrum or tympanum. Now, this is a tympanum. So, tympanum is the stressed membrane at the end of the auditory canal. It converts sound waves into mechanical vibration. That is, the sound waves entering into the ear strikes the eardrum, which is set into vibration. Now, this external ear, yani eardrum, then transmits sound waves to the internal part. Now you see, the second structure, second part of it is middle ear. Middle ear. Again, it has two parts. The first, the three ear bones, which are collectively known as ear ossicles. Three small ear bones. Three small ear bones. Now, if we name them in sequence, starting from eardrum. So, from eardrum, that is starting from eardrum, the three ear bones are named as malleus, incus, and stapes. In short, you can learn for logical sequence as MIS. M-I-S. The malleus, one end of malleus is attached to the eardrum, which in turn gets attached with incus, and then this is the stapes, which rests over oval window. It has another set of name also. In place of malleus, you can write hammer, anvil, and stirrup. That is, in sequence it is has. So, students, if you learn these two words, you will be able to write in logical sequence. Because many times question is asked which bone is attached to oval window or to eardrum, or while arranging in logical sequence, sometimes we get confused which word will come first. So these two small words will help you in writing in logical sequence. Now, stapes, the smallest bone in our body. The smallest bone in our body, human body. So this question is also frequently asked. Name the smallest bone in our body. Now question arises, what is its function? Then ear ossicles amplify the vibration received from eardrum by acting on lever-like mechanism. Lever-like mechanism. Lever-like mechanism. Now, here we see that these are the three bones. When eardrum is set into vibration, it causes this bone, first bone, to vibrate along with it. That pulls this one, which in turn pulls this one. So they act on lever-like mechanism and act as force multiplier. So it amplifies. Now, so this is the function. Students, related to these three ear ossicles, a question arises. What will happen? What will happen if three ear ossicles are replaced by a single long bone? Single long bone. Then what will be the answer? Just you have studied that they amplify the vibration by acting on lever-like mechanism. But if the three ear bones will be replaced and a single long bone will be placed, then vibration will not be amplified and feeble sound will be heard. Again, here the answer. If the three ear ossicles are replaced by a single long bone, then the vibration received from eardrum will not be amplified and feeble, weak sound will be heard. Now, so this is the first part from the middle ear, that is called ear ossicle. The second part of it is eustachian tube. Eustachian tube. This is the tubular structure. This is the eustachian tube. Now, this is the tubular structure that connects middle ear to the throat. So, you have often experienced that if we will drop introduce ear drop into the ear, then sometimes its chemicals reach to this part and you will feel some bitter taste. It is due to the eustachian tube. So, what is its function? Eustachian tube function, it equalizes air pressure on either side of eardrum, and help it in proper vibration. Because if on the any side the pressure will be decreased, it will bulge on that side. It will not vibrate. To and fro vibration will not be maintained. Sometimes you have experienced that while taking a bath, water enters into your ear. Suddenly it appears that your ear gets closed. No sound is heard. But when we trickle, when we move it, vibrate it like this, water droplets trickle down and suddenly it appears or seems that it is suddenly opening and very loud sound is heard. Another, sometimes when you are suffering from severe cold and cough, your nasal chamber, your pharynx gets clogged with mucus. Then at that time it also the ear also appears to be heavy and no clear sound is heard. It appears to be closed because the mucus or cuff blocks this passage and hence the air pressure is not maintained. One question is asked here related to it, that give reason. Question again arises here. Question is that give reason. When we suffer from throat infection, throat infection or cold and cough and cold and cough over long period, then it is likely to suffer from ear infection. The reason is that when we suffer from throat infection or cold and cough for a long period, then germs from the throat through the eustachian tube enters into the middle ear and it also get infected, due to which the pain in the ear is also caused. So students, it was about middle ear. Now you have also studied the two structures. This oval window transmits vibration from the ear ossicles to the fluid in the middle chamber of the cochlea. This oval window connects middle ear and the internal ear. So this is about the middle ear. Next, the third part of it is the cochlea, internal ear. This part, that is this structure, is called internal ear. It is also known as membranous labyrinth. Now what is it? It is the tubular structures, interconnected tubular structure made up of membranous tube, hence it is called membranous labyrinth. Now, internal ear consists of three parts. The first part is semicircular canal. Now, these are the three semicircular canals which are at right angle to each other in three different planes. Now, one end of each semicircular canal is swollen, called ampulla. Now, students, the fluid in internal ear is called perilymph. Especially, don't be confused with endolymph, because endolymph is the fluid in the middle chamber of the cochlea. So it is perilymph. Now, in the fluid of ampulla, there are small stony particles called otolith. Small stony particles in the fluid of ampulla. Now, when we are in motion, then the fluid also moves, and these stony particles collide with each other, generating sensation of motion. So, the function of semicircular canal is dynamic balance. That is, balancing the body while we are in motion. So this is the semicircular canal. Now, the second structure in internal ear is vestibule. Now, while labeling it, we have discussed that is, it is the stem like a structure between semicircular canal and the cochlea. It has two parts. The upper part is called utriculus, the lower part is called sacculus, and collectively this portion is known as vestibule. So if in labeling there is a single labeling, then you will write vestibule. And vestibule has a function of static balance. So we see a student here that the two parts of the internal ear are concerned with balance of the body, that is semicircular canal and the vestibule. Now, the third and the most important part of the internal ear is cochlea. Cochlea. Cochlea is also commonly known as a spiral organ. A spiral organ. It is meant for hearing. Now, in cochlea, there are three chambers. If you study cochlea in section, then it has three chambers. The middle chamber, also termed as median canal or cochlear chamber. Cochlear chamber, also termed as middle canal or median canal. Median canal. The fluid in it is called endolymph. So the fluid in the middle chamber of cochlea is only known as endolymph, whereas in the other chamber it is still similar to other parts, it is perilymph. The upper chamber is marked as vestibular canal, vestibular canal or chamber, and lower is tympanic canal or tympanic chamber. Now, students, here is another important part. On the lower membrane of the median canal, there are a small sensory hairs of different lengths. This lower membrane is called basilar membrane. And these sensory hairs are called organ of Corti. This is the important part from cochlea, because these are the sensory cells that when the vibration reach to its fluid, then they are set into vibration with different pitch, and then the sensory hairs generate nerve impulse, which is in turn carried to the brain through auditory nerve. So, organ of Corti is known as the actual organ of hearing. Actual organ of hearing. So, while answering, you must be careful. If it is asked, which part of the ear is concerned with hearing, then it is cochlea. But what is the actual organ of hearing in the ear, then it is organ of Corti. So, this is the ear. Now, in sequence, again you can summarize. How do we hear? The sound wave enter through the pinna and auditory canal and reach to the tympanum, which is set into vibration. These three ear ossicles are vibrated and they amplify the vibration. Through oval window, it enters into the vibration, enters into the fluid in the middle chamber of the cochlea, where organ of Corti is set into vibration and the nerve impulse is generated, which is carried to the brain through auditory nerve. So, students, you can, if you will draw the diagram and label it properly, you will be able to write it in logical sequence also. So, students, I think it is quite clear to you about the structure and function of different parts of the ear, which is concerned with balance, the two parts, and hearing, the third part. It is all right. Now, thank you, student.